PhD from Madras Institute of Development Studies on the topic of the question of land to the Dalits, a historical perspective in which he has examined how caste as a social system has determined people's right to land during the pre-colonial, colonial and the post-colonial period. After his PhD work, he worked as a research associate with the Institute for Financial and Management Research, where he was involved in two major projects on access to microfinance, which involved an extensive field work across several districts of Tamil Nadu. He then joined as assistant professor at the Department of Economics, Pondicherry University in 2011. Since then, he has been teaching papers like Economics of Growth and Development, Environmental Economics, and Research Methodology. In addition to that, he designed two papers titled Economics of Indian Social Institutions 1 and 2 to provide a more comprehensive perspective about the Indian society as compared to the limited and unidisciplinary perspectives. These two papers are presently offered as a soft course. In October 2021, he was invited as a DAD, short-term visiting guest professor by the Center for Modern Indian Studies, University of Göttingen, German, where he taught a paper titled Indian Social Structure, Development and Social Justice. He has served as a member of Board of Studies in Pondicherry University and is presently a member of Board of Studies in few other colleges in Tamil Nadu. He has published a few articles in journals of repute. His research interest includes studies on caste, socio-economic impact, evolution of development interventions, and multiple dimensions of poverty and deprivation, informal sector, etc. His recent publications are related to caste, state, and access to judiciary, in addition to papers addressing structural inequalities and discriminations. With this brief note, I welcome Dr. Jerome Samraj to give his talk. Thank you.
Very good morning to all of you. Professor Aloysius, Reverend Father Thomas, Madam Shantakumar, Professor Indra, Velmurugan, and all people, faculty members, and my dear students. I thank Velmurugan for providing me this opportunity to speak amidst you. So when he was, when he made this request, then I told him that it will be better if I speak before, so that whatever inadequacies that I make in my presentation can be corrected by Professor Aloysius when he speaks after me. So in that sense, it is also it's a pleasure to place my views in this kind of august gathering where people are there with established research experiences. So, as Velmurugan introduced, I have been working on caste since my PhD days, and caste, because of the disciplinary segmentations in Indian academia, we have been approaching caste in a unidisciplinary way. It's like, if you go to festival, you get spectacles of different color. One wear red color, one wear blue color, one wear yellow color, one wear green color, and say, what the realities of that color, right? So like that, sociology or economics or political science or history, with all their inadequacies, they have approached caste system with their own limited methodological, limitations. But if we try to understand caste from our own lives, from our own socialization and so on, caste is much more comprehensive. Right? And when you look at the society or in a village, it determines where your house can be located, what kind of occupation you can be you can be into, then how other members will treat you, right? Whether they treat you with dignity or whether you treat you so trivially. And is there any space that where you can shift occupations and so on. So if you take all these things, it's more of a very rigid social life that we have in terms of caste actually. So there is no liberty for individuals, as all of us are structured into a particular occupation or particular standard of living or particular set of property rights, particular socio-cultural rights and denials and so on. And in a village where untouchability is in practice, right? What kind of social restrictions are there? Who can go to which part of the village society? The spatial restrictions, and even now we do come across several. In Tamil Nadu, almost 30 districts have been declared as untouchability prone and districts. So with this limiting caste, so if you see economics research on caste, most of them they tabulate differences, statistical differences, and then the conclusion will be how to bridge the gap between these two categories, or be it the Dalits and non-Dalits and so on. So this is very limited understanding of caste, and so it is because of that I devised these two courses, that economics of Indian social institutions, where I talk about village, caste, and religion and family, how all these institutions determine one's opportunity. So when I see the so when you understand caste system as a village as a space where the dictates of caste is implemented, right? And if you try to understand that, any typical village in the earlier, now it is modern, and we have been into modern development process for almost 60-70 years now. But what has been a village structure, traditional village structure, is you have the highermost caste, maybe Brahmin or the Vellalas of Tamil Nadu, or next to Brahmin, whichever caste is there, right? They will be at the top of the position. Then you have a whole set of intermediary caste, the present day backward classes, right? Then you have the borderline between the backward classes, the touchable and the untouchable, or the service caste, the washermen and the barbers, who form the layer in between, and then below them the Dalits. So if you see this structure, right, this structure is more of a this structure is kind of rigidly maintained in terms of property rights, in terms of social rights, in terms of cultural rights, religious rights, right, and everything. So so this is the village structure, and this structural reality, it limits our everyday life. Right, as an individual, if you are born in a village society, your everyday life is limited by this codes of caste. And when you see this, the point is, you have been born and brought up in a society where you are treated as a lower caste or untouchable, saying that it is because of the karma of the yesterday's and so on. So religious conversion has been a matter of protest on many occasions. Many communities have converted to other religion as a protest against the caste oppression and so on. In India and in Tamil Nadu, we have seen such conversion, protest conversion to Islam or Christianity or Buddhism in the recent years and so on. But what I see is, though conversion has been a protest, and in a way it has liberated to an extent. No, instead of being in a religion where you are considered as a low birth, it is better to be in a religion which treats you equal. So that part for the self it is better. But when it comes to the socio-economic and cultural socio-economic relationship, I feel in that kind of a structure where you have the Brahmins and the OBCs and the service caste and the Dalits and so on, what will happen if one particular community or one particular individual shifts to another religion? How is it going to change the socio-economic condition of that individual or that particular community? When you talk in terms of their survival, socio-economic existence. So if you see that, what I find was when the property relations, occupational relations, and everything is determined by caste, right? How me embracing another religion is going to liberate me is the basic question actually. Because this liberation part is more of a psychological or a personal in nature, whereas the caste as a system is existing as property, as establishment, right, as occupations and so on. So there is no mobility, possibility of occupational mobility, right? And when suppose if the lowermost caste converts to, say for example, Christianity, and suppose a Mudaliyar from the same village converts to Christianity, what happens to Christianity now? Or what happens to liberation now? Right? So that is the problem now. So what I see is that though conversion can be seen as liberation, okay, but caste has been rigidified in terms of property relationship and in terms of as an economic organization. So this is not going to that economic organization or property rights has been rigidified by the existing legal system where the property rights, right, today whatever property structure we have, land ownership structure or asset ownership structure that we have today is a derivative of caste system, and it has never been kind of mitigated. It has never been kind of broken down and redistributed to others. So in that sense, right, when the property relations and economic relations remain as it is, one individual or one community converting another religion, right, it doesn't make much of a space of liberation, because the economic survival is determined by the existing structures. So it is that particular point which I wanted to emphasize. And moreover, in India, once you convert to Islam or Christianity, right, you lose your scheduled caste status. And even when there is a violence against you, you cannot claim that this violence is because of caste, and this, right? It is a practice of untouchability, right? So in that sense also, once again the Dalits are at the receiving end, where they are systematically deprived of any legal protection that the Constitution has ensured the Dalits who are not converted. So now with this kind of a system, I would say the mobility part is more of a myth actually. Maybe there may be occupational mobility, intergenerational occupational mobility, if they had access to schooling. The Christianity gave schooling, Christianity gave them education and so on. So that's a possibility of intergenerational mobility. But as I told earlier, when the native people converted to Christianity, they also took caste along with them. So it's not just they are Christians, they are Nadar Christians or Veladar Christians or Mudaliyar Christians or whatever it is, and they continue to be what they are. And once that happens, right, any Dalit convert cannot be just a Christian. That's a Dalit. They continue to remain as Dalit Christians. So the limitation is still continuing. So this is what though there are corrective measures within the congregation, several congregations, there are corrective measures, but what I feel is that people, whichever religion they take, they have not let loose their caste identity, and it is because of that I feel the liberative aspect of conversion is very limited, and it is very limited to the self and our own self-identity. But when it comes to economic relationship, I feel it's a very distant dream. And I think I will conclude with this. And I thank, and if there is any question, I'll be happy to respond. And I thank for this opportunity, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a very great talk. So guys, now you can engage with asking few questions. Then I can invite next speaker to speak. Now I am inviting some questions.
Sir, when casteism started, what is the period of caste started?
That's myth.
Before that, Mahabharata, before that, casteism was not there, madam.
Sounds like.
When it started, tell me.
I don't have an answer for that. Because the earliest inscription in Tamil Nadu, right, Pulankurchi Kalvat and all, it has evidence of caste. But I don't know if anyone can trace the origin of it. But this structure is maybe this Brahminical hierarchical ordering of caste is post Chola period, as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned.
Then hierarchy, Brahmin and there should have period where it has been started.
Mahabharata is epic. It's not history. Yeah, it's an epic.
Doesn't have historical significance.
Yeah. I agree. It's not. It's myth.
It's not
ಇಲ್ಲ.
We can't dispose because those are places are still there and there is evidence that these things have happened.
Madam, but I can also. The one problem is I can also write a novel with since I'm living in Pandi, I will have evidence of all these places, reference to all these places around. Just because the places are real, does the story become real?
Why not? It depends.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
these are
depends.
arguments are equal
Yeah.
and
So
opposite.
I think we have the right to differ in
Arguments
that.
are equal and opposite.
Caste being the political, eco-political issue, like why is there a necessity of caste in this modern society? And in this education system and the way of lifestyle, we are including caste so that we don't forget that caste. So we are including and sticking to the caste in education system and whatever we are doing in this society. So how can it be changed? Why is it not? Why is education system need of my caste?
So you mean
Why are they asking for
you are talking about the certificates and the quotas. Okay, but do you know the caste only from the certificate, or do you know your caste from your family? Family, no. Actually, society is not. The institutions are not categorizing you, right? You belong to a particular category, and so you get a certificate for that, right?
Why is there need of
Consider yourself as a son or daughter of a sanitation worker, or son or daughter of a barber or a washerman, right? Where the caste system is imposing you a particular occupation for generations together. Okay, what is the reservations doing now? It categorizes you as socially and educationally backward, and then it empowers you with the right to admission, right? So what is this admission going to do? This admission is going to enable you to get a degree so that you become eligible to shift some other occupation. So the purpose for which they have certificates, they have this reservation system, is to enable all the oppressed communities to switch from the traditional menial occupations or caste-ridden occupations to some other modern occupation which is based on your achieved status, right? Based on your eligibility. Okay, so the role of this reservation is essentially it is anti-caste. It is not casteist. It is anti-caste. Casteism is retaining you in your traditional occupation is casteism, right? Enabling you to switch occupation is anti-caste essentially, right?
so like caste system in prehistoric history, the caste system was different because there was different.
I see. There is no casteism in prehistory. Yeah, let me clarify you. There is no casteism in prehistory.
One problem with this is most of us know, be it any social sciences, do you study anything about caste in your syllabus? There is nothing in economics. In sociology, it is justified in the name of social stratification. In other disciplines, I don't know, they teach caste actually. So if I ask any student who is a graduate, are you able to understand contemporary Indian society? They will say no, right? Because we have not taught them reality, right? The syllabus doesn't teach them reality. So because it doesn't engage with the contemporary reality, all of us, irrespective of whatever our identity is, whatever our origin is, we have our own myths and beliefs, right? That we have been tutored with right from the childhood. So we have our beliefs. All of us have our glorified past, right? All this continues to exist, even though if you are a PhD graduate also, these things continues to exist in your as your identity. It continues to define your identity. So there should be a systematic study of caste actually in social sciences. Unfortunately, that's not happening in India, right? Only when you understand that caste in a very systematic and scientific way, then we can understand caste is problematic, right? Without that understanding, right, I will cling on to my birth and you will cling on to your birth and right, and want others to cling on to their birth and so on, right? Like what they try with this, what is that? Some Vishwakarma Yojana, where all of you have to cling on to your own ancestral occupations, right?
The occupations have changed in this modern society. That's what I'm asking. The occupations that we do right now, like it's different from the past, like we.
That's what modern
development process is all about. It has to
Why is
differ.
there a need of caste? Like, why is there a need of caste in this modern society? That's what my question is. As the occupation.
See, how
change-
frequently do you read newspapers actually? Have you seen the number of deaths, number of murders, number of rapes, and caste violences in India?
Honor killings.
Yeah, caste killings. Have you seen the news about it? Does the government come into every family and say that you have to marry within the caste? Who is killing the son or daughter when they marry outside the caste? The parents or the government? Who commits the murder? Right? So the government has a different role. Certification is for that. It's for empowering you to switch to new occupations, away from what the caste has enforced you to be. Right? So don't kind of confuse certification process with the social process of reproduction of caste.
In simple, you are looking only at academic perspective. That's not the only perspective. Understand? If you look at academic perspective, I think
Come forward,
that's not the
Kiran.
only
Don't
perspective.
sit too much at the back. Come forward. Move a little forward. We can't hear
Real
you.
question. Real question. You're talking about reservations and all. That's only limited to academic perspective, right? See, there are other perspectives, like administrative, social perspective. You're only looking at the one-dimensional view. That's not the view which we should stick to. If you look at multi-dimensional view, then you'll understand the problem. But since we are not used to that multi-dimensional view at all, we are not understanding the multi-dimensional problems. So that, you understand my question, right? You're only talking from academic perspective.
See, what I would say is go out of this campus, right? Go to the other side of the road, walk around that seashore and see the residential areas. There are different communities, right? And see what are the occupations that they are doing. Who's doing fishing? Can the Dalits in that area, can they do fishing and all that? Right? Try to observe all that and you will know whether caste is a contemporary reality or not.
Suppose you are there in your own place where you are born and you have grown and you continue to live there, maybe it continues. But when you move to another place outside, do you think anybody will care to know all these things when you settle down in a place
Madam, that's what I believed when I got into employment here. But my experience has not been so good here. I know how I have been discriminated, I know how I have been harassed in this campus. Okay, apart from that, if you take any newspaper today or if you go and look for house in Chennai and so on, you can see vegetarians only board, no? Once you say that you are vegetarian, then they will ask which caste you are. Because they know that only certain communities can be vegetarian. Right? And alternatively, when students during my classroom discussions, when students they say that they are vegetarians, I used to ask them, is it by birth or by practice? Right? See, if it is by birth means their parents have told you should not eat this, you should not eat that and all, and they are abiding by that. If it is by practice means at some point of the time you have realized that no, killing animal is not good, so you switch to that. So caste, I don't think caste has vanished anywhere. Caste hasn't vanished.
the history of Indian philosophy, have you come across any religious movement that has opposed caste system?
Bhakti is there, Buddhism.
Sorry, Basveshwara.
Okay.
One caste, one God. Equality of professions, equality of gender, and once they get initiated into that, they wear that linga, they belong to the Shiva Kula, and there is no jati there. Whether washerman or fisherman or basket weaving or agriculture or cobbler, all professions are equal, and the Swamijis themselves have to do some physical labor, which today Gandhi called as bread labor. And it was formulated
But
remember that one vice chancellor was also killed, and that writer Gauri.
Gangesh.
All this was Veerashaivism, Ligayas. And Veerashaivism is Veera, hero who is able to overcome all these. And the writings of Basaveshwara, he comes after Buddha and before Ambedkar. He is the first person who attempted casteless society, equality of human beings, dignity of labor, and economics also. They are supposed to contribute part of their earnings for the betterment of the community. Kayava. Kayava and
So what? So the problem is so what?
so
No, the practice, some practice, no?
no, but what happened? He did not continue because the other people, the other religions, they, this political conflicts were there, because of which, saddened by all this bloodshed, and at a very young age, committed suicide. Committed suicide, Basaveshwara. And the movie is, we have to screen that one day so that people will know these concepts.
My question is, sir, how do you see the differential implications of logic conversion? Converting into Buddhism, proposed by Ambedkar, and from the converting into another religion. Do you think there is any differential implications in there in terms of liberation or in their economic empowerment to these two religions? Like in Maharashtra experience and another different state experience.
in my experience, no, caste is not just about what I think of myself. Caste is all about what others think of you, right? So we can convert to any other religion, right? The other caste in the village is continuing to treat you as whichever caste you actually belong to. So that's where the problem lies. So the problem of caste is not just the problem of the self. It's also the problem of how others see the self, how others see us, and it limits us in every possible way.
Now, this thing, this conversion of religion, what happens is, suppose they move to Islam, they may say that they are liberating this person from Hindu structure, but then they have the Shia village, and they also have their own hierarchy and differences within their community.
That I feel it's the differences in beliefs. It has nothing to do with hierarchy. It's not hierarchy. It's like how I understand that is more of like the divisions in Christianity, like Catholics and the CSI and the others. It's more of the way in which they approach religion than that himself being a hierarchy.
That is what you yourself mentioned. Even after they convert, they are still viewed as Dalit Christians and
By the other society, madam. It's not about, right?
no, but are they able to give you that equal status which they give those members who originally belong to that the convert, the fresh convert? Is he given an equal status like the one who originally belonged to that religion?
Yes, madam. That's why I told you earlier when I was speaking, when a relatively high caste in that any particular location converts to, say for example, Christianity, right? They carry their caste identity. The church was never equal, no?
Yeah, but that is only Christianity in India.
Yeah, in India.
So how do you explain that?
It's because of the people, not because of the religion.
Maybe we didn't understand Christianity well.
Yeah, no, it is because of the people. They don't want to leave caste identities, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
They don't want to
If we
leave caste
understand-
identities.
If we understand the religion well, then there will be no issue of caste at all.
No, see, there are people who converted to Christianity because at least in Hinduism there is a Brahmin above you. If you convert, there is no one above you, no? That's why the Vellaras and all they convert, right? right? For the Vellalas of Tamil Nadu, who are next to Brahmins, right? They convert in Travancore Samasthanam, they converted protesting the Brahmins and the ritual supremacy, right? So it's like, so conversion throughout, whether we it the highermost non-Brahmin caste or the lowermost, it's always has been because of protest against oppression and discrimination. But they themselves, even now in a matrimony, we can ask the church, how many marriages are within the caste among the Christians and how many are across caste, right? That is still there, no? Even when you don't find a Christian eligible bride or bridegroom in the Christian Nadar, you will always choose a person from the Hindu Nadar. It's not a problem. Even Pallas or whichever community I have come across, they do that. So religion is immaterial here. Caste continues to be the most powerful determinant.
Here, when you go abroad, there they have it in the form of this racial discrimination.
Madam, race is different, caste is different.
Yeah, I do understand.
Yeah,
But,
caste is much more severe. Maybe Ambedkar himself has
what
written
I'm
that.
telling is, caste is indigenous, but there they have their own hierarchy, is it? It may not be the caste system, but there also they are not equals, is it?
But should we always look for excuses to justify our hierarchies is a question.
I'm not justifying anything, but I'm telling you that these sort of differences are there in society in different forms. Not a caste is alive not only when the person is alive, it goes beyond the grave. Burial grounds are different. Burial grounds for different castes are different. It goes beyond the death.
Actually, Ambedkar says that no, it's even the any civilized society, you will see that the division of labors. But in India, you see that instead of division of labors, the division of labors produces a division of laborers. That is the problem here. The division of laborers, how it became now we are the compartmentalized practices in India. So that is the difference. You can see that European America and other countries, but in India, you see that it's a compartmentalized thing. So that is the question rises that why the caste problem.
So what is the way up? We all have been
As I think, sir,
existing realities, but we have to sort of come up with some kind of solutions for the thing.
I can add here again Ambedkar here because the annihilation of caste, the only thing is that whatever the thing we are respecting or recognizing that in the name of sacred text, you are imposing and proposing or teaching like the injustice practices, that has to be abolished. So caste is not a pillar or it's a physical entity, you can simply break it or something. So these things like whatever the Idikasas or Puranas, it has been said the injustice practices, that if you are abolished, then there is a possibility the young generation, you can teach them that it is not. So doing or keeping practice again and again teaching that kind of thing through this a sacred thing, then it's again you are making the young minds poisoning young minds and keeping along. So that is Ambedkar approach, but I am just referring here in this context. Yes. So ma'am, sir, thank you so much for giving this interesting and also important argument, though it is very precise. So with my personal experience, because I faced this issue recently. I just I went to that that is some SCST atrocity act, that is we can go some, those are facing this discrimination, they have right to file a case. The person who in the front of that Pondicherry bus stand, the person, his name is Iyothee, that is the present MLA, ADMK MLA, he abused him in the giving his caste name. He has went there and police station, he filed a case, but the police station denied to file under Atrocity Act. Then as a human rights activist, we approached that, particularly I approached that when I just went there with the SI and the inspector, when I approached that, he's saying that guy is migrated from Tamil Nadu. His name is Iyothee, but he is basically he's a converted Christian. He's a Dalit guy. since he is a converted Christian, we are tracing that or collecting the document whether this guy is a Dalit or if he is a converted, he doesn't have, but he can't claim that he is a what are facing this what atrocity, this thing. So that's why we are hesitating to file a case. It's my personal experience. It's recently happened in Pondicherry. So these things also you have highlighted. So I just I want to add this one. And some of the argument you interestingly put it that the way it's a caste is not that how used as a cell, how the others are saying that. Exactly that argument, the philosophy student exactly you can find it. How the Sartre talks about the others. The look, the concept of look, others, consciousness, unconscious, everything is very nicely discussed by what Sartre. The same Jean-Paul Sartre argument, professor has what Samraj has given here. So if you compare it or just contact it, you can easily understand that in what context he has explained. Because the Bharat Ratna has now asked this many questions. You can understand either your problem with the Sartrean approach. So give me 1 second, sir. With this one, I just thank you so much for coming and here and giving your talk. With this notes, now I want to invite our second resource person. Sir, actually, this is a brief intro about sir. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce Professor Aloysius, a renowned individual whose scholarly endeavors has permanently left a mark on a discourse surrounding oppressed communities, nationalism, and religious identities. Sir is a philosopher, public intellectual, and a non-institutional academic who throughout his illustrious career, he is fearlessly delved into the complex nuances of nationalism, shedding light on its multifaceted dimensions. His seminal work, Nationalism Without a Nation in India, published Oxford University Press, has not only garnered critical acclaim but also fundamentally transformed our understanding of this intricate subject. In the pursuit of emancipatory identities, Professor Aloysius has explored the profound interplay between religion and liberation, presenting a fresh perspective that challenges established norms. His work, Religion as an Emancipatory Identity, which I did on my PhD work on that area, Religion as an Emancipatory Identity, is a testament to his unwavering commitment to unearthing the transformative potential inherent in religious narratives. 8. Aloysius contributes extend beyond the confines of his scholarly endeavors, recognizing the importance of accessibility. He has also taken on a monumental task of translating the work of Eve Periyasamy Periyar into English, thus ensuring that the invaluable insight for this eminent figure reach a wider audience. In addition to his academic pursuit, Aloysius is a visionary founder of Critical Caste Foundation as a non-profit venture dedicated to the retrieval and preservation of preservation of rational, liberative aspect of history and culture. This foundation stands as a powerful force for deconstructing and reconstruction of socially relevant knowledge, shaping more equitable and enlightened society. The way Iyothee also did the same thing. Perhaps one of the Aloysius' most admirable qualities in his role as a mentor and a guide to countless students in need, his unwavering support and guidance has paved the way for numerous individuals to embark on their own journey of intellectual explorations and social advocacy. Therefore, it is with great anticipation and excitement that I, because on behalf of philosophy department, we welcome Nana Aloysius today. His remarkable contribution and dedication to the betterment of society serve as an inspiration to all of us. Please come, sir, extending a warm welcome to you, a true luminary in the field of academia and social justice. Please come.
Thanks to Vel Murugan and welcoming Pondicherry University students, staff and all that. Some of you like me more, some of you like me, others like me less, but all of you like me. So that way it's been a pleasure to repeatedly coming back to this university on various capacities. And if my talks have been little bit helping towards clarification of some of the issues, that I will be happy. And if more questions come, and I will be happier. Because a forum of philosophy is differentiated from a forum of religion precisely in this. In religious forum, we have many answers. We have so many answers, but there is no question there. Okay? Even before we getting into questions, the religion comes to answer things. But in the philosophy forum, it's just the opposite. You have more and more questions and very few people giving answers, and that is what is the greatness of philosophical discourse. And in that context, many of our classrooms tend to be religious discourses. I think that is I've been sort of pointing that out, and I would very much like that you don't let the guy get away from whatever he is saying. This is very important. Maybe a great person, great lecturer, this, that, and so on. But here and now you have to answer. But you have to keep constantly thinking, constantly thinking. If constant thinking is required, that is preceded by commitment. Commitment to certain ideals and passion to pursue it, and the imagination to back it up, and then you raise questions. You know, it will be very valid, and you better learn to do that. Forget about the language, whatever be the language, and if you can't do it in English, you do it in any language you want. A few words on my previous speaker. His limited point was that conversion doesn't deliver total emancipation in the present Indian context. Agree. That is not. And why is that? You see, in 1935 or so, Ambedkar had a conference. I think it was an Iyothee conference, and he said the untouchables have two options in front of them. One is to fight against caste. Which means fighting against Brahmanism, fighting against Hinduism, and fighting against all those forces that are keeping this so-called vicious caste in place. Can untouchables take upon such a task? Or should untouchables take upon, only untouchables should take upon that caste? Is it caste is affecting only the untouchables or everybody else, and if it is the problem of everybody else, why should untouchables alone be the scapegoat to do that fighting? You see? Then in that context, he said there is another way. Another way is to get converted. To another framework, another world, Weltanschauung, world ideology, where you are invited, you are little more, you feel at home, you are treated as part of themselves and so on. That is in 1935. His actual conversion took place only in 1956. The man was agonizing all the time in himself. What am I supposed to do? In between, as Professor pointed out earlier, there are a lot of groups, not only in Tamil Nadu, not only in the south, but also in the northern part of the country. Groups sitting together and discussing this problem and taking to conversion, mainly to Christianity, but there are also conversions to Islam, and there are conversions to Buddhism much later, and so on and so forth. It was a conscious, a group, collective decision to shift paradigm work. Now, within the, and that was his actual limited point, but then things went on into discuss caste. I tell you, the discussion on caste produces more heat than light. You see, what is caste? What has it to do with the Varna? Speak little slowly. Or has it anything to do with the Sanatana Dharma? You see? No, this caste started only in the 19th century, British. Anyway, the whole world is full of discriminations. We have one more discrimination. What the hell, man? What this? Let's get on with it. No, in this way, I try to grapple this problem. And finally, Madam Shanta Kumari asked, what is the way out? I went in search for a way out.
No, sir, caste discrimination also.
Let me finish, madam.
If he is a rich person, that
Yes.
distinction is not there.
Now the problem is, why caste is not going? Why caste is not going? Many thought, including economists, that industrialization will start. Old situations of, the walls between caste and religious walls all will break down, and a new man, modernity will emerge and so on. Or some people thought conversion will change, or many thought intermarriages will change and all that. But nothing seems to work here. So where do we search for this problem? Actually, we had a thing like this in Hyderabad Central University. Caste is not going. Whatever we say, caste is not going. It all comes back. Is it because we are genetically different people? I mean, we Indians. I'm not talking about Tamils, Malayalis, Bihar people, Indians. Is Indians different from Tamils, Malayalis, Bengalis and all that? There is something called Indians. Has it come about Indians behave like that? What is all the attempts like central universities to create Indians, to create Indians as distinct from over and above the fragmented reality of Tamils, Malayalis, Telugus and Karnatakas and all that. Indians. There are a lot of discussions and I have been reflecting more on this question. Historically, we have come to this situation, not genetically. We are born like human beings and so on. Why somehow we landed ourselves in this setup? That is because of history. Peculiar kind of history. And many of us, many of our friends and so on feel that we are today more casteist than some 500 years ago. We are more casteist. All the centers of power, centers of resources, centers of higher education, centers of higher learning, centers of higher technology and all that are such preserved enclaves, and those places are the areas in which caste is fought out. It's an access to resources, access to power is what caste is characterized. Not we don't find anymore in the Professor took the examples of villages there, cherries are there, and the wood is there and all that. And they have this place, they have that place, of course obviously discriminated and so on. But we don't find atrocities as many, because now also we are starting poisoning the thing and all that. But mostly we find it is in the urban centers, industrial centers, not only caste, but communal atrocities. So somewhere we have gone wrong, and what is it, and so on. But then it's a much larger agenda, and I am not invited to talk on that today. Let's put it for some other occasion and so on. But the limited thing I wanted to comment on Professor Jerome's thing was, caste system in what today we call Hinduism. What is it, Hinduism? What is caste? What is India? They all in one range of realities which we cannot explain easily. Anyway, there's a caste is not the same in Christianity as caste is outside Christianity. You agree to that? Caste is not the same in Islam, and caste is not the same as non-Islam. Madam made a very solid point. Every community is corrupt, discriminated. If they don't have caste, they have race. Madam pointed out. But that is not a justification. An academic is supposed to engage to analyze the widespread effective discrimination one suffers from, and find a way out, as she herself was suggesting. You see, that's what we use. Everybody is corrupt. Why are they picking up only on me? If I am arrested, if ED comes to me, that is because it is political. There is nothing. I mean, everybody is corrupt. But somebody is the ED is after me because I am. But tomorrow ED will appreciate me if I change my stance. And even before that, only if I get caught up, I am considered corrupt. If otherwise I am nobody, there is no morality. In other words, there is no moral conscience at all. I have no hesitation in speaking. Within this Indian boundary, there is no moral value of any sort. But has there been some morality somewhere and some point in time? Some people struggled and all that. Madam pointed out Basaveswar. We have a Saiva Siddhanta and we have Murugan worship and we have other things and so on. And so many other places they have struggled. Sarnadaram. Tribals of this country have something called Sarnadaram. What is their morality? So what happened to all that? Have they all been what they call? You make something in the computer, no? It will lose its activity. It loses, it doesn't come alive. All these anti-caste, discriminatory practices have been made neutral. You see? That's a problem. So what are those mechanisms and so on? And I am coming back to Iyothee, but I will wind it up and so on. I will wind it up with what Professor was saying. If all those groups of people decided to leave what? What did they choose to leave? Did they choose to leave caste or Hinduism? They chose to leave caste. No? They don't want the caste. By caste they are being oppressed. They want to leave caste and so on. And they found liberation for themselves. Personal liberation is a liberation. You are the best example. Murugan is the best example, and several others sitting a few other examples. Individual liberation does count. Society is composed of individuals. But why is it not coming? That's coming back to the same original question, why caste is not going? Caste is not going. Let me put aside that little bit for that, we will come back to that, because that's a much longer thing, and you decide sometime, try to work a way out, as Madam has suggested, find a way out of caste. Now coming back to the philosophy of religion. You see, the Indian, what we study, Indian history, as Indian sociology, Indian anthropology and all that, is either in Hindi language or in English. That is why I have tried to suggest to you that something Indian means is different from above the factor of what are the concrete, fragmented realities of different people and areas and so on in the Indian subcontinent. There is something came up as a kind of, most of us are jerked out of reality into something else above all this fragmented. You know this, I am told in Advaitic Vedanta, Madam must be. Advaitic Vedanta, she sees the society as tiered. At the lower level you have fragmentation, conflict, what do you call historical changes and everything. All bad, everything manageable. But at higher level we have serenity, peace, unity, abstraction. My God. That means two societies exist. One cannot penetrate into the other. Partha Chatterjee, for some people who might heard, please hear about some of these names. Being in the academics, we have to listen to some names. Don't take to name dropping as a profession, but some names you should. We have in India both civil society and political society. Civil society is where everything is, if you put on the light, it will burn. If you go to an office, ask for some, then it will be done. But the political society people, in their home, if they open the tap, water will not come. He said, is your home has water? Does your home has water? And I told her, is it only in our street, in the next street and all that you go and find? Mobilize all the fellows whose houses water doesn't come. And go and take a march thing, Jindabad, Murdabad march and all that, and go and fight for the water, and you get water. Political society. Political society. You see? That is why caste is an oppression. No, caste is a simple cultural phenomena. I want to be a good. I don't want to use the word Hindu. I want to be a good Hindu. So I consider you should not come into my house. I mean, is it wrong? Am I discriminating against you? You see, at certain point in time in modernity, when modern times dawns, that is democracy, etc., etc., culture comes to be understood as power. Caste is not culture, caste is power. Please remember, this is a central mechanism which is able to grasp and follow all this. I tell you a very small example, silly example, because I don't try to learn examples from the books. You read books in order to understand principles. But for the examples, you should find your own examples. Otherwise, if you borrow from books examples, that means you have neither understood the example nor the principle you are reading. There are 4 chairs. You send 5 people to go and sit on the chair. They all come, 4 people comfortably. In India particularly, they don't look at how the other fellow sits. See, you go and sit. And then one fellow looks around and all that kind of thing, and then he says, it's okay. What happened? He sits down. Tomorrow the same scenario takes place. The 5 people come and 4 people sit on the chair and the 5th man sits on the floor. You learn probability, no? Probability, you know. What is the probability of the same man who sat down yesterday sitting today also? And as applicable to the other 4 fellows, isn't it more likely that the same fellow sits today? What happens in the 3rd day? The probability increases that the same fellow who sat 2 days on the ground also sits today. 4th day, 5th day, 6th day, 7th day, 8th day, he comes first. But where does he sit? On the floor. You ask him, why do you do that? I think a culture in that. It is our culture. This is our culture. Then that fellow one day thinks about that. this is like this. Why am I also? Somebody comes and tells you, why are you guys sitting there? Then he starts wondering, how did it all start? How did it all start? I was a little late on that first day. And they are already sat and then they are looking upward, not look sideward to see somebody else standing. Like most of us do in the buses now. We are going to the mobile. Then next day I will do that. So next day he tries to come a little early and then comes and occupies a seat. What happens? A conflict starts. Conflict starts. Very simple thing. What is culture? Is a reified form of power. Caste is a reified form of power. So that you don't anymore acknowledge that this is a question of power. It's a question of culture here. This is what we have been traditionally following. Structural functional says casteism is functional, structural and functional to the society. So all crimes, all things are functional to the society. Because it has been there for long. People have accepted that and so on. Now coming to this, I tell you, keep this in mind. This is very simple technique to say that when some people are discussing culture, other people are considering it as a power, and you cannot get across the message. You get stuck. That is the way problem, if I dare say, when the discussion comes on abolition of caste, Sanatana Dharma comes in. No, this caste has nothing to do with Sanatana Dharma. Then all of us get silent, fall silent. Another occasion for discussion, all this. Now coming to religion. You see, in India, I am trying to convey the message of Iyothee Thassar, the drawn out and message, and also the implicit message. In the Indian subcontinent, there have been a lot of historically evolved worship patterns, cultural religious patterns, and so on. That everybody knows. Many of them. Madam was very pious, my Basveswara, Kama Devi, and the whole thing has been in my mind for some days, these days also. Historically, they had struggled against caste and so on, constituted. And the thing is, he was a Brahmin. Basveswara was a Brahmin. Now, can we find a single Brahmin to come and support an abolition of caste? Anyway, that is one example. There is a lot of examples like this. Lot of examples like this. All across that, beginning with the Buddha, contestation of the Brahmins and so on. Various, and then in the North India, there may be some guys from the North India also. Osai, Bowls, Kabir Panthis, and the whole range of Bhakti poets, ancient Bhakti poets. Some Bhaktis work for Bhaktis, some are working for Muktis. So there is a distinction between that and all that. Now these are all what we call the historically evolved religions. Many of them, and most of these people's tendencies, you will see them move away from the Brahmanical imposition of caste system. But they have other agenda also of attaining to the transcendent, reaching the God and finding the possibilities of liberation, etc., etc. was there. Now, apart from all this, I'll cut the thing short for questions, but also for another discussion. It takes way out a lot of time for a discussion. In 18th century or so, the British came, and they thought, they thought first of all, they came anyway for money, collecting money. And they looked around, where did they find the money? The money was available only in the river valleys, where there is a excess, what you call harvest income. That was being only agriculture everywhere. There was nothing else. So these people went and contacted with them, and then you keep giving me money, I will protect you. I will not interfere in what you do, but then keep paying money. So this is a contract. You know it from the high school textbooks, non-interference. It's called non-interference. This contract was a contract for collecting money, but the contract ended up, because it lasted one whole century of the company, East India Company rule, that these guys could do whatever they want. And he said, if some people object to that, so there is an obstruction for me paying my rent to the British, so come and protect me. So enormously they developed a custom and tradition, all kinds of custom. If the Jamindar buys an elephant, then you have to pay this. The Jamindar gives birth to a girl child, you have to pay this much money. The boy child is this much money. All this kind of hundreds and hundreds of custom and tradition rooted practices. Custom and tradition, mark the words. Eventually, which came to be sanctioned, legitimated, and heightened and valorized as religion. And then how do we rule these people? If you are a Muslim, I can rule you by Quran. If you are a Christian, I can rule you by Bible. But what do you do with all these? Call them Hindus. Call them Hindus. India. Indians believe there. Huh? So, but then you can, naming is not the one we call them by this name. But how do we manage them? Say this man has a Quran and that lady has a Bible. What do you all people have? So Iyothee says, these fellows scratched their chundi and went and dug out in their homes old moth-eaten bundles and bundles of palm leaves and other leaves and brought it to them. So they took it all this way to where many of you are aspiring to go. The School of Oriental and African Studies. So who sat on that? Whose project was to go through all that? Was Max Muller. He never came to India. Of course, you don't have to be part of Tamil Nadu to teach in Tamil Nadu. So you employ a fellow who never came to India and then put him in. And then he said, you go through this project of bundles and bundles of moth-eaten stuff. So he did religiously and found out 56, mark the number, 56 volumes were called Sacred Books of the East. What has come about is the religious text for the new group of people whom we call Hindus. Their Basavanna never figured anywhere. And so many other kind of historically evolved religious people never failed anywhere. This is one group of people who were dominant in the valley areas, I said. It was for example, some of you, Kathleen Gu, sometimes you tell them, Kathleen Gu did work in Mailadurai, in Tamil Nadu, where there is a river valley. So he found the society was deadly hierarchical, Brahmanically controlled. And so then like physical sciences, he said if this is test one village or two villages, they generalize the whole India is Brahmanical and hierarchical, deadly and all. After a few years, Nicholas Dirks came and did research in Pudukkottai. Pudukkottai, he found all these fellows are mad fellows fighting with each other all the time. They don't listen to any system and so on. Some fellows is respected more because he has a lot of goats and things. Some fellow is respected more because he is what he calls the god of the local Pudukkottai king. Where is Brahmanism and where is this hierarchy? Nowhere. So it is wrong to say that India there is no Brahmanism and there is Brahmanism. It is all everybody according to the circumstances and situations, people set up hierarchies. But the problem is how this one group of people, whom we call Brahmins today and all that thing, became so dominant, they could impose whatever they want. The thing is this. So they discovered Hindus, they discovered the texts Hindu text, 56 sacred volumes or anything. And he said, okay, if I have some problem with Quran, I'll ask the mullah. If I have problems with the Bible, I can ask the priest. Whom do I ask if I have some problems with this? Now it is very obvious among all of us. You say Brahmins, call the Brahmins. Many people objected. In Chittoor, people objected. In Tamil Nadu, people objected. We have nothing to do with these people. All our religion, we have for birth, marriage, death, and all that. We have our own guys. Our own guys who does things and all that. No. If you say you are a Hindu, if you say you are not a Christian, you are a Muslim, you have to follow this. You are a Hindu by default. Those who are not Muslim or those who are not Christian, you are Hindus. If you are a Hindu, you have to call a Brahmin. Otherwise it is not valid. Your marriage is not valid if you don't call the Brahmin. You know, the Bombay Brahmins were more smart. He said, you don't have to call me, but you better pay me. You pay the regular fees, I'll give you a slip payment received. That is enough. It's like a modern kind of thing. Very ultimately what you need is some certificate, na? I'll get it. That kind of thing. So what has happened? The British abetted, British supported by nearly, they pretended non-interference, this, that and all that. You know, non-interference, how did it work? They took up what you call temples and then said, this is today is a festival in the temple. So what is the tradition? Custom and tradition. So some 50 Brahmins will be fed in that temple. Huh? I will not interfere. I will practice what the custom tells and tradition. But then I am a British emperor. Modern British emperor. And you are telling that custom was because the local zamindar used to do that. So only not merely 50 fellows will be fed, 5,000 fellows will be fed. Non-interference. But then things get valorized. Things get valorized, things become bigger dimensions, things become eventually, it fits in with the empire level. Fits in with the empire level. Kumbh Mela. When did it start? Yes, in many ghats, in the river ghats, people used to take bath and it's a sacred river and all that. But why Allahabad Kumbh Mela became British interfered, British interfered, and became Hindus. So what? That's why I said, no, I mean, again, the professor mentioned that the first conversion. Many people, Kuyo Murayo, they try to shout. No, we are not this, we have never been this. No. If you are this, you are this. What is it? You have to abide by. And this is the religion, what I am saying, created in the 19th century. All the other historically evolved religions came to be subservient to this. And it is a distinct religion. It has nothing to do with the religions of the Indian subcontinent. You understand that? This is called Orientalism. Orientalism working in India. There is a small booklet on Orientalism. Now, this platform that you have become dominant not only in the land, and in the land they give you some patta, zamindari patta. So I can throw away people because this land belongs to me. No, it doesn't belong to you. We have been cultivating this land and giving you a share of the produce to you. No, I have a sheet of paper now. It's a paper Raj, na? Paper Raj. It's not like olden times, when wielding the sword. So the sword wielding social forces have been thrown out, suppressed. The pen wielding social forces have been enabled. And they become more dominant in that. So once the land is gone, autonomy in land is gone for the mass of people, and autonomy in religion also has gone for the mass of people. Now you are called Hindu. No sir, I am a Lingayat. I am a Saivite. So what? It's only lower level existence of is something elevated called Hindu, and this is systematically constructed on the pattern of the religious dominance they had in some small places, Mailadurai and small places like that, where they had this Varnashramic hierarchy, Varna Shudra and Panchavarna and all that kind of thing. That seems to have reproduced on a India scale. So the surprise of Iyothee Thassar and later Periyar was, how come suddenly this has happened? The guys who were begging around this place, suddenly they have become judges. They have become collectors. You see? Now in that context, Iyothee Thassar confronts this and then says, where has this religion come from? It is because the British lords took those guys seriously. So the British came and learned, that castes and tribes, there is a series, castes and tribes of South India, castes and tribes of North India, castes and tribes of Central India. All this will have the first name as the British name and second name as the Dravid name. So how did they teach and inform? Iyothee Thassar says very clearly. The officers, British officers will come and try to learn Tamil. So first they will tell them, that you don't go near him because he is untouchable. That is our custom. That is our tradition. And see, that fellow is should be taboo for us. So on. And after that, they will teach them Tamil language. So the British absorbed the view of India as produced by this valley-dominated, Brahmanically hierarched people, and thought the whole India is like that only. All the others are what he called folk traditions. The masses and masses and masses of people's religions, however well to the level of British, European nations. France is a small thing, and Portugal and all that. So somebody following in the mass following of Basavana, for example, is the same as the whole of as big as France or Portugal. It is called folk tradition. Saiva Siddhanta is lower. The standard sociology in India is great tradition, and the maximum 3% of the population follows is called grand tradition, and the 97% of people what they follow, because they are little bit differentiated from one another, it is called folk tradition. What they do is, we have in India Hinduism, Sikhism, Islam, Christianity and folk traditions. Right? You left the entire historically evolved religions is rubbished as a folk traditions. Folk traditions eventually will be deleted, and they will eventually become fall into the system, which is a Hindu religion. It's that what Iyothee Thassar was strongly rejecting. And the center of this, the very center of this, essence of this politically constructed Hinduism is caste. So caste is what is holding this country together. True. So if we fight against caste, who are you? Anti-national. You're anti-national, of course. What is holding the new discovery of the British collaborated dominant group of people is that India is unique. It's very different from Europe. Europe we find only individuals. Conversion makes you individual. Europe is full of only individuals. Europe fellows all the time fight. Compete for one post, 10 fellows come and fight. And they keep changing. Gandhi was against this changing. Don't change your partner as you are changing your dress. You have to live with the lady whom you have, or lady or the leda whom you have got into till the end of your life. There's no way out. But you can have affairs and all that. That's a different lower level reality. We are not for abolishing lower level realities. We are only having the lower level realities to fall in line. We are not abolishing beef-eating. But beef-eaters and beef-eating practices should be held as something to be hidden, something to be, it is done. Outside the house it is done. Don't destroy the home and hearth. Outside, what should be done outside should be done outside. What should be, because we are born differently. We are born differently, and the difference is important, is based on your very essence, which is being transmitted hereditarily. I am not very sure whether the hereditary transference is part of that story or not, but this has been Gandhi's discovery. If you are a Bangi, that has nothing to do in front of God, you are all equal. Where is this God before whom I am equal? Oh, that will be somewhere else. That's a different thing. Now, the point Iyothee Thassar was making, there was a time when Buddha Dharma for Buddha religion for Iyothee Thassar is a very broad category. Very broad category, almost as Sramanism in the subcontinent. Samanic or Sramanic cult. All those, we said, a man's worth should be decided by what he does. There is no other way of differentiating man. Whom do we call untouchables? We call only untouchable those people who are dirty, who have some contagious diseases, and who is of nefarious character. Dushtanai kandal thura vilavi. You go far away if you find a criminal. That is untouchable. You know, a natural and a materialistic meaning of this. It's not like who are the untouchables? The untouchables are born untouchables. Even if they become collectors, even if they become, they have to be collected, they have to be categorized untouchables because they are born so, and the essence travels through heredity and so on and so on. That is Brahmanical. Sramam, labor. Is he good means what has he done? What has he done? So he can be called good. That was the kind of prevalent. The problem in India is Buddha's time he has said, teach Dhamma, not in your language of Pali or Sanskrit or whatever it is. Teach Dhamma in their own languages, people's own languages. Which simply means the little bit insights, initiatives, and the kind of understanding that each linguistic community had developed in the different parts of the country, the continent, should be taken up and then explained and developed. You see, that is why the Buddhism was spread in the country, and the 19th century British came and said, where is Buddhism? Buddhism is disappeared. Because there was nothing called Buddhism. And there is nothing called taking place in the name of organized religion as they found in Sri Lanka. See? But then in India, the Buddhist sense was merged with the natural materialistic and labor-oriented consciousness of the different communities in different parts of the subcontinent, and has developed and then valorized that. So it is differentially expressing itself. So most of the historically developed religions of the subcontinent are basically Sramanical in inspiration and variegated in its expression and implementation. So but the British did not find anything systematic, anything that is developed and so on. So they took to this method of this kind of thing. Now with that, many people remembered that it has never been like this in India, in different parts of India. Suddenly we are called that we are Hindus, and suddenly we are told that if you are a Hindu, and it was progressing. Some said all you guys in Hindustan are Hindus. Whether you go to masjid, mosque, or vihara, don't go anywhere else, but you are Hindu. Some people came and said, no, if you are neither a Muslim nor a Christian, you are a Hindu. But Mr. Gandhi came up and said, if you call yourself a Hindu, sir, I am not calling myself a Hindu. No, it's not, they are not asking you. Because you have been already condemned and termed as Hindu. There's no point in that. By elimination, because you are neither a Christian nor a Muslim. So you are bound to call yourself a Hindu. So if you are bound to call yourself a Hindu, you have to read Vedas and abide by Vedas. Veda is discrimination. So from an ordinary descriptive sense, denotative sense, some of you might remember in your lower classes, it moved on to connotative sense and finally landed in a critical sense, saying that if you are a Hindu, you have to abide by Vedas and practice Vedas. Caste discrimination. India became one primarily, and it was one and same by the same process by which India became one. It became hierarchical, it became Brahmanical, and it became Hindu. And this is the 19th century creation of what is called Hinduism. And this started hegemonizing and taking over and swallowing in all the historically developed religions of different parts of the subcontinent. Now, so much so, now we find it very difficult to say, even though there is a weak voice, the linguistic, Lingayat group says we are not Hindus. But it's a very weak voice. Tamil Saiva Siddhanta people say that we are not Hindus. But somehow afterwards they get started because the state power has come, the state settled and so on and so on. I'll finish soon. It is that, and a series of examples is sort of. So where does, according to Iyothee Thassar, where does the religion start? It's a human endeavor. Religion is a human endeavor to transcend the concrete, the local, the immediate, and go beyond that. That is how Siddhartha, struggling to work for himself, and he achieved and became Buddha. And the same way, Jesus, working towards emancipation, working towards for himself and sharing his way of enlightenment to a lot of people, became Christ. That's how Muhammad, struggling for the emancipation of those the Arabic people in those in that scattered continent, Middle East, became Nabi. Therefore, the purpose and motivation of religion is to realize the emancipatory, critical, emancipatory and liberative potential contained in all the humans. All the humans. All the humans are called upon to become gods. In India, there are 33 crores of gods. Where are they? They are the people. With each one of them, potential to become God or devils. We can end up as a devils also. But gods and devils are only here, not anywhere else. So therefore, the religion which says, no, something else came from somewhere else, about which only I know. So what I say is religion, so you better abide by that, is an oppressive, is an enslaving religion. Is there a God? Iyothee Thassar was asked. The typical answer is yes or no. And they say, yeah, there is God, and somebody said yes or no. But Iyothee Thassar answered, if you look into yourself, you will realize that there is God. But if you look outside of you, you will realize that there is no God. You see, reflect over these things, no? It will lead to very many understanding of different seemingly unconnected areas. You see, what he is doing is, in modern times, religion is nothing but universal humanistic morality. If you look inside, you have only your conscience that guides you. This is right and this is wrong. This is what this religion is about. And in order to emphasize that, people have set up some image, some icon and all that kind of thing. But images and icons are those people who in history has achieved what we are calling upon all of you to achieve. Enlightenment. You see? So Buddha is not a god. And there is no, if you believe there is something external to you, something in spite of whatever you do that will save us. If you have not studied at all for your exam, but you think some God will come and save you, who by accident you take the name of a God because accidentally you said you took the name of the God, you will be saved. I mean, these are all oppressive. Religion as oppression, religion as delusion, religion as enslavement. You see? So you have a series of historicizing, materializing and humanizing the reality of religion. That's the project of Iyothee Thassar. And this project, he would definitely say, has been found all across the subcontinent in a lesser or a greater level, in a more intense or less intense level, by all these people. Now all these entire differentiated groups of Samanic-oriented, human-oriented, endeavor-oriented religious people have been enslaved in the 19th century by this creation of what is called today Hinduism, strictly under the Brahmanical control and so on, abetted by. Now the problem is, I cut short the whole thing. In the 20th century, this is politically established super-geographical religion became the basis on which nationalism was fought against against the British. Your Bible is only this big. You know our books. It has everything in it, not only past but present but also future. You see it in the speeches of people even today, no? People in authority. This has already been there. You don't have to go beyond that. Iyothee Thassar said, no, human endeavor has to find out this. Not given. Nothing is given. And you are not a human being because you are born with the 2 legs and 2 hands and a thing. You are a human born as a potentially human being. You have to actualize your own humanity. That is the call of Iyothee Thassar's emancipatory religion. To the extent you use your reason, to the extent you use your compassion, civilizing mission of considering the other man as your fellow being, you are becoming on the way to becoming a human. Not an iota more than that. So you can at any time go upward, at any time you can slip behind, and this is a project given to you to continue till the very end of your life. You may achieve nirvana or not otherwise, but the effort is what Sramam is what is called upon. And there are a lot of small little elements, by example by Iyothee Thassar, which we don't have to. I gave you the essence of the things. So he was against the kind of revelatory religion, independent, cut off, and not connected to the lived life of the people and so on. So to that extent, he is only a continuity, and later on Ambedkar also, continuity of the great tradition of realism, naturalism, materialism, and humanism of the religion and so on. And this is what you are supposed to study under philosophy of religion. Rationalizing religion. In the beginning, as I said, no, philosophy has a lot of questions, but few answers. But religion has a lot of answers, but a few questions. So what is it, philosophy of religion? Applying your philosophical mind to what is called religious phenomena and find what is rational, what is real, what is emancipatory, what is critical, and what is liberatory. Not only for yourself, but for the entire humanity. And that is the sum and substance of what Iyothee Thassar's agenda and Buddhism, which many of us, all of us are carrying on in our own way. So it is not, it's just as we know what we are talking, religion and philosophy. The fellows who are going on the roadside also know what is religion and philosophy. So what do? The moment we take upon the ordinary speeches of people outside and try to look into it, what is little more rational, systematic, logical in it and all, and try to build on that. In the same way, religion also is what people are. People are essentially, potentially, and religious. And in this sense, not ritualism. Ritualism is not spirituality. Rituality is different from spirituality. You find all these journals in Tamil, you will find Anmigam. All of them are talking about only you have to do on Friday, you have to do this, on Thursday you have to do, but if you do what you should do on Friday, on Thursday you are doing. All this is kind of ritual. Ritualism is not religion. So the essence of religion is humanity in its endeavor to go beyond the instant and concrete and so on. And that we have to actualize. And what he confronted at that time was the 19th century Orientalists and Brahmanical combined created a religion, and he was against that, and he was trying to achieve emancipation by positing a new form of Buddhism. New form of Buddhism, this has to be remembered. There is no somebody called Buddhist. People try to attempt to follow Buddhism is called Buddhist. And then try, not at this moment whether someone is a Buddhist or not, we have to find out through his act. Not because he went and registered somewhere or he is born to Buddhist and all that. See, that system of thinking itself is not basically Buddhist and so on. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and hope that now shoot, fire, and deny, support, and criticize. You are free to do whatever you want.
This is now open for discussion.
See, we take up this
Munnar vandirukku, avadante come
Come
near.
forward, then we can.
All these places are empty.
until he comes forward. See, there's Krishna.
Madam, let it be heard by others also. You don't have a.
Krishna was a cow. Come forward. Why do you go and sit in the back benches all the time? What is so interesting over there? Come forward.
They will come forward.
They do the same bloody thing in the class.
They will come forward.
See, you guys have come forward to listen to me, to challenge me. Come over. We'll talk about it. Come. Come here. Everybody is thinking of that guy moves or that only 5 move, what is it? No, you be the leader. See, they don't have inadequate technology, na? So help towards a little better.
So if we take up this phenomenon as such, this caste system, how it originated, we don't know, because this Krishna himself is a cowherd, and this Shiva.
Madam, sorry for my mistake. If I could limit to what I spoke, it will
No,
be.
I'm talking about the origin of this caste system.
No, I am not concerned about it.
Then
The Iyothee Thassar and the philosophy of religion.
but how
After that, we will discuss that, whatever you are talking.
how did this come into the religion itself in the first
Caste, no?
Caste
Okay,
system.
that's your question. You see, what do you mean by caste? Are there jatis?
Jati and Varna.
I'll explain all that. I'll explain. This what today we consider caste is any grouping, any kind of cultural, semi-cultural grouping. the origin of these groupings could be so many. By occupation, shepherds, Yadayar Jadi, because he was occupation and so on. And there are some cult group. I don't like this idol and worshipping, I'll take some other idol, some other form of worship. Cult groups. Ecological groups. Mountain people are, because they are isolated in mountains and so on, we need to deal with the thing, they become one jati. And then the seashore people, they are some occupation and also isolated, semi-isolated. Historically, this group formation has been going on for various reasons, including the transport, communication, etc. And a kind of self-reliant processes in different places and so on. So we have that kind of groups, all these various different groups for various reasons. It's not only occupational group. It's not only occupational. Any sort of grouping, it became like that. Now, we have one very strong thing called Varna. Varna is an ideology, not so much system. Varna is a vision of some group of people, basically Brahmanical group of people, vision of ideology, how they want reality to remain, how do they want reality to be established, and what is that. This is a Brahmanical philosophy, is a little full-fledged philosophy of having, classifying the universe. Everything is, there is a black eagle and white eagle, and the white eagle is called the Brahmanical eagle. You see? So everything in reality has to be classified, and this classification, either black or white and left or right or good or bad, all these kind of things is the way this Brahmanical group of people try to manage and confront the situation, and that's how they want to be in a kind of hierarchical. One Pune Brahmin told me, the very heart of the Brahmin hierarchy is inscribed. He is comfortable only when he sees things in this pattern. Horizontal thing is alien to him. Now, to whom do we go and ask what is this, what is caste and all that? Everybody speaks about that. Now, there are these two things, and above these two things is what is known as Sanatana Dharma. What is Sanatana Dharma? Sanatana Dharma, it is always, we are told, either by the politician or by guys like that. And the so-called religious people are relevantly more silent on this. It's a way of life. It's a God-ordained, revealed way of life. That we should not conflict with each other. Functions are different, and the capacity to enable those functions are also different. And what is called guna, essence in each people also is different. And they say, you are fit to be this. It's your essence. But the hitch is, how do I know my essence? You better ask me. I have some special access to that. Now, that being so, that is, you see, we have at a low level jati groupings, various groups, and then little above that Varnashrama Dharma, and above that is called, a little behind is a scheme operator, like religious legitimacy. Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana simply means eternal. Na? Sanatan, eternal. But what is eternal? What is eternal is people have to abide by their given qualities, abide by the God-given qualities, and they should not go against it. You see, this is the Sanatana Dharma. So, according to them, there will be always people who are bound to remain as Bangi, the sweeper. Because it's in them. It's in them. That's what the caretaker of Gandhi's Varda ashram, Gandhi's ashram, a foreigner came and he said, see that these are the arrangements, these are the people are fed, that and so on and so forth. After seeing all that, he took the foreigner aside and told him, you see, you can use soap and clean their skin, but how to clean the dirt under the skin? That's the problem with these people. He's a caretaker of Gandhi's. That means it is in the innatness. Your innatness is not what you achieve in the course of your living with the people and working against the nature and progressing or regressing. It is given already. Kundali? Heard of that word Kundali? No? Birth related circumstances are fixed, each one. So you are going to get married, you take the Kundali and go.
Horoscope.
That is why a few years ago, Ashish Nandi and the whole group of people were ridiculing this American idea of progress. See, a few years ago, the word progress was very prevailing, and people should be progressing, and so they said we support the American projects also were there to make people progress. He said, how can you progress, man? What you are, what you can become at the end of your life is given already to you in the beginning. See, that is the ideal, that is the philosophy. We don't want to use the word ideology, that is philosophy. Philosophy and ideology is same. Now, that ideology was available with the Brahmins, and they brought it, from where? From the outside. We have an enormous amount of literature, Indo-European sociology literature. Sattvic, Rajas, and Tamas. Three groups of people. In Europe, they had this. Father, you might remember this. Oratores, Bellatores, Servatores. Those who pray, those who fight, and those who serve. Three castes. And the custom was, when they dance in Christmas time, they will tie ropes, so that the Servatores, the lowest of them, should not touch these people. It was so bad as that. It was even suggested that Servatores, they did not have souls. You see, things were bad. Now, this belongs to the Indo-Aryan sociology. When they came here, part of the people came here, they found another mass of people in another form of ideology, another form of philosophy. Basically, he said, if you work, you eat. If you work, you improve. Pada roham, muda roham. You see that today, for example, we are told that my music composing capacity is God given, not developed by anybody. No, our Tamil and local thing is, the more you sing, the more you musically become. You keep quiet and becoming shy and all that, you won't. It's purely a question of human endeavor. You see, so that the contrasting vision of ideology in this is so strong. Now, in history, these people of this ideology of Varna and this ideology of Sanatana Dharma became strong due to circumstances of history. See, and finally, what a circumstance, the British came and made a contract with that group of people, and they imposed their view on the British, and the British thought, so Max Weber wrote, India is a land of birth. No, India is not land of birth. India is a land of, if somebody works upon it, he earns it. If it doesn't work, he starves. That's it. Very, very pragmatic type of. And if you see in the lower classes of people, if you see somebody married and they didn't like the girl, ran away, and then went on gallivanting all over the place with so many others and all that, and finally she comes back, and then he said, no, I'm sorry, I failed and all that. He says, that fellow gives you a few slaps and then say, okay, you're donkey, you learned the lesson, now at least you save property. That's it, problem solved. The people were a little more pragmatic, life-oriented and life problem-solving oriented, than you think that you are juta ho gaya. You have become paraya, not become something else, and I'll send you out of the video. No, that's all birth-related philosophy. one time given all the characteristics, and you have to survive for it. Now the problem is that the British came to, and then they found these people are talking philosophy, talking big things and all that. They are enamored of all that, and then they wrote out all that as their ideology, philosophy, religion, and so on. And India became just that. It's a tragedy of the, and Mark Galanter, I'm sure Jerome you know, his big statement is that Hinduism is a gift of the British. Hinduism is a gift of the British. Now we are all stuck in it. How do we solve it? Anyway, before that, I think students should talk and make meet all the time talk. Guys, come up. And he said, sir, I didn't understand a thing of what you said. Now, please say something else. Come. Yes.
Thank you for your.
Could you come little bit? Say.
Come forward.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful lecture. I have a question that in earlier you have mentioned caste. Caste is not about culture, not about tradition, it is power, resource. How to center power, how to center resource. That's it, all about caste. And the way you explain the 19th century construction of Hinduism, how the idea of Hinduism that constructed in 19th century, 20th century, repackaging caste in the name of emancipatory ideology or liberating philosophy, they repackage casteism. And as you mentioned, that Gandhi also propagated that Vedas and Shastras, these are the source of our philosophy and these are documents of Hinduism, religion, culture. So my question is, we have seen Vedas and Shastras as documents of ethics, spirituality, philosophy, that thing. And that caste is inherent within it. So how do you see the documents, Vedas and Shastra, as a document of operation in society and in politics?
How is it today, Hinduism in operation? I'll take off from what it is normally said, caste. Caste is an attitude of mind. It is not a wall to be pulled down. It is wall. You didn't see the wall in wall of separation in what village is that? Sandayu. It is caste standing. It's not only your attitude. Your attitude actually is least counted now. As I was explaining, this caste linked with religion was discovered and constructed politically in the 19th century and taken over as the basis of nationalism in the 20th century. And the same nationalism came and accepted power in the middle of the 20th century. And from then on, now it's almost another century, we are getting the implementation of the caste hierarchy as a guide for policy making. Caste as a guide for policy making. Remember this. Caste has been, originally might have been attitude, this, that and all that. And also to explain that I am not against people who are defending caste, but I am only casteism, not caste. That is our not. How is it practiced today? By the state. By constitution, how does the constitution view the Indian people? Tell me. Scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, backward castes and backward groups of people, and above them, general caste. Isn't it a hierarchy? Come to the formation of the state. We have panchayat, for which elections are held. We have state, for which elections are held. And we have a center, for which elections are held. Our state itself is formed in a hierarchical pattern. One is greater than the above, the other. One can simply, with a little bit thing, you can wipe off the lower entity. So whose responsibility? You don't know. Whose responsibility if the what you call Dalit atrocities taking place? Who has to intervene effectively in order to do this? We have created a polity in such a way that responsibility, lower responsibility, liabilities, and other kind of deficiencies are pushed down to the lower level. Policy decisions. We have languages in the country. What are the categories of languages? English and Hindi, also Sanskrit, as at the top level. Below that is the constitutionally what you call the scheduled languages. Below that is the tribal language. The dialects, local dialects. This is structure. Ani Babu's or somebody's one article is very difficult. Varnashrama dharma of languages. Educational system of language, educational system. Yes, CBSE. Below that is a state system. Below that there will be panchayat level and IT schools. How is that thing effective becomes effective? NEET exam is bases its syllabus on CBSE. You either abolish the other educational systems or make a central exam based on the thing on most people are studying in state system. No unity, one. India is one. India's disease also is one. One nation, one disease. I telling my friend, colleague here, I was in Jharkhand. We are struggling for several years there in tribal areas. They now I don't know how it is. They have been supplying wheat, oil, and sugar. These three things which tribals don't eat. They come and dump there, and before it is dumped, it's already diverted to the black marketeers' godowns, because the tribals are not interested. So we are under delegation, democratic society. We have to struggle, and it's a political society, and they won't use their reason. All their reason is this. They are asked why is it like that. But Food Corporation of India is one. For the country, we will establish only one. What do you think? You can establish tribal food corporation or what? What do we count? Do we count at all in anything like this? Who counts in India? The biggest example I tell you, my friend. 84% of this country is backward. In any country. 84% of the people are called backward. So in whose terms, in what criteria, people are to be constructed here? Socially backward. What socially backward? What is that? I mean vegetarian, you do eat meat, and further worse you eat beef. Pure vegetarianism has gained food hierarchy. Constantly this hierarchy is reproducing itself in every day of our life, depriving all of our freedom. I tell you, I don't dare to take 2 kilos of pork on Delhi metro. I know my friends, northeastern friends, have this problem. They carry what you call dried pork. And when I was in Hyderabad, constantly phone calls. Sir, I am coming from Kohima and I am carrying this. I stopped by the people here. Is there any rule? No need of any rule. We established this. When you are saying this, why don't you speak about pork with regard to Muslims? Why Muslims either eat pork or don't eat pork, they don't bother about anything else. you are eating beef, you should not sit here. Meat should not be brought inside the canteen. The concession is chicken. Concession is chicken. All these practical hierarchies aren't they depriving the freedom of individuals? And worse than that, where I sleep, how I sleep, with whom I marry, what I eat, and what sort of house I live, all these belong to individual freedoms. And that freedom is absolutely denied by this colonially valorized Hinduism. It's none of your business what I do and what I... This slavery, social slavery, upheld by the state slavery, is the worst form of implementation of what you call Vedas. And what do Vedas have to do with this? They are done in the name of Vedas. Whether now educated people in the Vedas will think Veda doesn't nowhere say this. And Purusha Sukta is a later interpolation. So what? You can keep on adding. Upanishads they kept on adding Allah Upanishad, Victoria Maharani Upanishads, and we have further Upanishads and all that, according to the times. Anyway, I'll shut up. Anybody else, please. Please, others. You should have, these are the lively life problems and you have to address it somehow.
So, Madam was asking the solution. What is the solution?
What is that?
Solution to come out of this problem.
Solution.
Yeah.
No.
Can I add to that solution? Like, for example,
Okay.
like completing your entire thing. So can we say the caste system or discrimination, don't use the caste word, discrimination was there everywhere? Not only with regard to people, even in university we'll have, I'll tell you about the example.
Not even in the university.
Yeah,
University.
I'll tell you with an example, how the discrimination works actually. So when we understand the word, forget about that, we'll start with the example in university itself. For example, the problems of scholars were different from the problems of PG students. You agree to that? Everyone agrees to that, right?
No.
Yeah. So we agree to that. Then what happens? If a PG student want to talk about his problems, both are humans inherently. If a PG student want to talk about his problem, he'll not be knowing about PhD scholar problems. So now what happens? There was a discrimination of PhD scholars and PG students. Now coming to PhD scholars. So in terms of PhD scholars, first years they have to get some documents and all. They might not be knowing everything. So again, the problems of first years are different from the problems of the second years. Yes, we agree to that. Now, irrespective of anything, discrimination comes into the picture. Irrespective of what, discrimination comes into the picture. Now, can we say that because of administrative easiness, for administrative comfort, they made this discrimination, or they shoved the discrimination into humans? Can we call that?
Okay.
Yes. Now can we apply that to the practical scenario of other things? Because the British, whatever you're saying, the British, they started this because of administrative comfort. They shoved it down the throats of humans. Now we understood. Now, how to get rid of that? So understanding the problem of discrimination.
You
Not-
see,
yeah.
that's right, I agree. The problem of solving it at various levels may be different.
Yeah.
You see that what you are suggesting in your concrete example.
That's what I'm getting you.
Many of the thing is slovenliness, laziness. At some other level, it could be conscious, conspiratorial.
Yeah.
So at certain levels and all that kind of thing. And even further level, if you find there is nothing like that, it's only somebody did it and we can do it differently.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of personal, individual thing. Now, whatever the examples are suggesting for the implementation of thing are such, they have an impact on the entire society. Entire society in all the diversification of activities and so on and so forth and so on and so on. And each one, for example, in India, every fellow wearing some vardi can tell you, hey, Hukuma, why are you standing? If you are standing, why are you standing? If you are sitting, why are you sitting? Anything can be asked. And you cannot see that's part of the longer colonial, but it's very comfortable ideology also. Everybody interprets. Now, where do we, for example, where do we go? Whom do we ask about Hinduism? Who has the right to speak about it? Everybody can say anything if they want, and you can find examples, textual evidence, etc. Can be, anybody can. Particularly in the 19th, 20th century, the most vigorous and vociferous articulators are non-religious people. These are politicians. Political people and intellectuals are the most articulated. Religious people themselves were they were there in their own whatever they are doing, but not anymore. 21st century, it is very difficult to distinguish between historically evolved people, part of the spiritual quest, and the politically constructed people. It become, no? Anyway, apart from that, what is the solution?
The solution will be here only, I think. That's what I was able to tell you that.
No, we cannot solve this here. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's what I'm coming to the point. I'm coming to the point there
Okay.
itself. So something from there was shoved down with years. Because of the ignorance, it was still reflected in the entire scenario. Now, for example, think a big problem is diversified in multiple ways or multiple aspects to the ground society as well. Now, the same way, or the wedge principle we call, a small change from down, can reflect in a bigger way up above. So that change should happen. This educational institution. That's what I feel.
I feel this about this. I got the point.
Yeah, and one more thing to make it stronger. For example, you were telling that see, people talk about the discrimination outside. But people may talk about we are neutral, everything inside, but deep inside there will be discrimination. For example, even in educational system, there are some things where everything is neutral. Knowledge doesn't have any discrimination. Knowledge is knowledge, whether it's Indian, Western, or anything. Yes, we agree to that? No. So no, I think that's where we disagree.
No, come to the point.
Yeah.
It's
So
an example.
if knowledge is inherently good and is equal for anyone, so knowledge about discrimination also busts the myths about discrimination that makes him undiscriminative. You understood? So that knowledge has to be given.
Yeah, there are 2 points.
Has to be given in this educational system. That's what I feel.
Neutral knowledge.
Yeah.
Should be important.
Yeah, that's what.
I'll tell you that.
I have one excellent solution, sir. Where there is a problem, there lies the solution, sir.
Yes.
So we must go to the root of religion, sir. According to my religion, everyone is same, every living being. So
According to your religion.
Hindu religion, everyone is same, equal.
They are different spheres. They will not agree to you saying that unequal. They say different.
So whatever wants to, they have to enjoy the after effects in the next life. They may be born in the.
That's a typical answer they give.
So
See, in this life you are this, next life you will.
You may be born as someone. So there's
No,
no
but
point
I
in
like
discrimination.
I like
So
to have-
what happens to the person if he doesn't believe in rebirth?
What about the Puranas? Yeah.
So
You see, that is not-
that's a very good question. It's a very good question. So we have another example. We have to follow religion, or if not religion, at least we have to follow education. Following the true values of education. That we believe in the humanity.
So the word education is again have a problem with that.
No, I'll respond to that.
Yeah.
You have 2 points.
Yeah.
One point is that
Knowledge.
no, the second point.
Yeah.
So knowledge about human affairs and social sciences. Now they will extend it also to physics and chemistry and all that. Knowledge is not good. Think about it.
No, that's right. Again, I'll tell you how knowledge is neutral. I'll tell you because consider the science aspect of science. So science is
No,
all.
I understand what you are saying. I'm
Yeah.
only responding to that. You have to little more read.
Okay.
You see, the science, from the beginning, they took this physical sciences as a model for social sciences. The model for social sciences. And he said accuracy to reach the truth, neutral truth.
No. Again, you are getting it wrong there. Your understanding of science is getting wrong. Why? I'll tell you because
science, the aspect or the aim of science is always to know the natural process, and it will use multiple resources only till it knows. It stops there. But to maintain accuracy, that's the job of technology again. You understand?
You see, you have a lot of propositions.
No, no.
What are called science? This is science, not that is not science. Why is certain sciences directions are developed and certain science not directions are developed? All these are culture specific, and all these are that has become very, very blatant and become very articulate these days. That is that what you are talking about science in the 19th century view of science. This I am talking about science in 20th century, and they used to talk about philosophy also like that.
Yeah, that's what.
Philosophical
Science
knowledge.
is not there in 20th. Technology in 20th century is not the science. That's what I want to say.
It's not like that.
I think you do.
Philosophy is, attains a special knowledge, truth. No, the same fellows who studies philosophy and also sociology, which is so blatantly communal, and so the philosophy is blatantly communal. It is that there is an area where human element can maintain human power neutrality is a myth. Human power neutrality is a myth, and that is increasingly becoming in the writings of all people. It's not anything. Therefore, the goal of social sciences is not neutrality, is not fairness, it is not balanced view, it is not doesn't correspond to the truth which is supposed to be outside me. That is not anymore. It's all thrown away long ago. Knowledge is either liberatory or oppressive. There's no neutral. That's the computerization and the technology, data. All these are power-loaded things.
That's the way we look at it. Can we say that liberatory or oppressive is the way we look at it, but knowledge is inherently
There is no
not.
knowledge apart from the way we look at it. Where is that knowledge? How do we get to know it? That there is something beyond human epistemology, is a myth. That's the old liberal idea of truth, that there is an ancient history and we are learning it. We are setting up an ancient history. We are setting up, all what we have is a present interactive knowledge. Old liberal idea of truth entail what you are suggesting, that dichotomy between subject and object, that there is an object without in relation to the subject. That's anyway philosophical thing that you have
That's what.
Second, the first one was more interesting. That was the small attempts can.
Yeah, that's what. The solution lies here. Like for example.
Yeah, the guys tried to convert. He tried convert and then founding himself again into this thing.
Which thing?
The caste.
No, that's what. See, again.
small attempts. You see, before you condemn the darkness, after diya jalao bhai, light up the small lamps and all that. It doesn't work that way. We have a problem which is structural as well as cultural.
See,
Structural
again,
as well as cultural.
Might be again. See, again, we are not questioning enough the structures,
Yeah.
even in the academic sphere. That's the problem. I'm saying that might be if you start questioning all the structural things.
I am questioning that.
Yeah.
I am
See,
questioning
again,
that.
we are also questioning that.
Now, what is more serious? I am asking him. Then you can draw your own conclusions. What is more serious, abolition of caste or India remaining one?
Obviously, abolition of caste.
India remaining one remains first priority.
No. There can't be unifying thing if there are not unifying factors downside. No, that's never the way. See, these three things, if these three things are not aligned like this, you can't say one thing like this. They should be aligned this. So these differences
there is
are aligned,
objective-
then only it is there.
Wait. How the argument goes among the people who say that, how the argument goes, there are objective similarities. A group of goats go, they are goats, no? And they go and fall into the pit, one by one. And we all speak Hindi language, no? Say yes. even if you don't like it.
Not yet here.
All of us are
Not yet
saying,
here. No,
since
not
all
yet
of
here.
us are speaking Hindi, Hindi is our original language, Sanskrit is the root of all languages and all that. And so, we are all one nation. Objective characteristics, and I'm telling, their worst characteristics in the best of interpretations give only that. Objective characteristics, we are all from black to brown and to somewhat colored and all that. We look at it, we know they are Indians. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, people drink chai, tea. So they are Indians. No, what the problem is, basic human equality, if to operate, has to have a certain cultural understanding. So far, the culture has been incorporating, as I said in the example, that power discrimination, somebody sitting on the table, somebody sitting on the chair, and somebody sitting on the pillow, power discrimination was justified in the name of cultural similarity, objective, we all same. But unless you break open that cultural similarity, cultural appearances, and recognize the power discrimination and find a way of uniting that power discrimination in a polity that considers all are equal, and that is our culture. And that is our culture. You know, you understand? That is our culture. We need cultural, religious sanctification of that equality. Newly achieved human equality has to be sanctified by culture and religion. This has always been our tradition, that we are equal among ourselves. It's only external matters that troubled us. To say that, you need to have a certain kind of culture on which we dismantle and remantle, including incorporating democracy. And that has happened relatively in many polities. But in India, we see, just as we say, Hindi is the name of a single language. According to Indian Census Organization, today India is a composite language containing 48 mutually intelligible languages. This is census definition. That's how they arrive at a 43%. If they calculate only Hindi, that is the Khadi Boli of Awadhi area, they may get some 10% or 12%. That's the rule. Now, if you say that is Hinduism a single religion? As I said, it's a multiplicity of ways of living and ways of worshipping, ways of this thing. Now considered a single religion, just like Islam and Christianity, Buddhism and so on. Now, why are we bothered about language? Why are we bothered about religion? Because Hindustan is a single country or multiple countries. You see, the problem is how do you do that? Now, as I was saying, if India is a diverse entity, again and again, see, people talk about caste coming up again and again with this. Remember this. The way many of my friends, obviously northeastern guys, I work out, these guys are obsessed with the caste, and we don't have anything to do with that. They are all the time talking about this, and obviously they don't. I tell you, my friend in Tejpur University, Clico, sociology department guy. The day he got appointed as Ambedkar professor, rang me up. Sir, what do we teach here in the name of Ambedkar? We don't have much caste, very different type of thing here. All those people don't have caste in the country. It's not their problem. Only thing is, you see, what I'm saying, we are suffering from getting out of caste, and they are suffering from preventing caste from overtaking them. From outside they are fighting, they are from inside fighting as well. Therefore, in the same way, for example, in Kerala, caste operates in a particular way. And you can't treat it in the same way as the caste operates in Tamil Nadu, for example. There is something like a religion, what you call Hindu religion, there is some caste, somewhere textual caste, and that needs to be abolished. You heard of the Don Quixote
Don Quixote, fighting an invisible
Windmills.
enemy.
in the end of which both of us are happy. You spoke for caste, I spoke against caste, come let us have something. We'll never go an inch forward in towards solution. Multiplicity of social problems should be solved multiplicity of ways. You cannot take an oil rigger to Joshimath and drink and drill the earth. No, that's how we drill. Because the Delhi bureaucrats don't know any other way of extracting oil. They have the huge rigs and they go and rig and the whole Joshimath comes down. Singular technology, singular country, singular technology. I tell you there are multiplicity of historical trajectory of the Indian subcontinent is towards multiplicity. And that multiplicity was conquered by Buddha, a Brahmanic cult, without disturbing that multiplicity. So in the unity in our country, in our subcontinent is underlying unity, not overlaying unity. Now if you seek to impose that unity overlaying, we get this problem. So you want to fight separatism? No. Nobody would want to do that now. But you give a sort of legitimacy to the history. For 20,000, 20 centuries or more centuries there even, these people who are living autonomously, developing autonomous languages, culture, worship pattern, etc., and they were nurturing themselves, solving problems in the way historically available to them and so on. And suddenly you come up with something, and a handful of guys who learnt CBSE and IIT and finally become bureaucrats, they said this is how the problem is to be solved. We have constantly this problem in Jharkhand. The beginning we saw a lot of what you call river dams, boards, this project, that project. In one road if you see some 25-30 projects. Then we try to find out, ask them, where are these projects? Sir, nowhere there is projects. It's only that board is there. Okay, looting, that is not the idea. In many places, they did try to build the dams. And the people told them, sir, the water is flowing this way to this way. So you build a dam accordingly, necessarily. Who is the engineer? Are you the engineer or am I the engineer? We have been taught and we learned to build the dams like this. See, all the problems are connected. Even for this, when you distribute what you call central universities. Central universities are given to different places so that some special input is come to that place and they improve that. But from Pondicherry to Mohali, I have travelled in all the central universities giving lectures. I find the audience exactly the same. Same composition everywhere. Inside the room, you need not know whether you are in Pondicherry or in Mohali. No difference. What are you trying to do? Why is there is a kind of hierarchical? Why CBSE central universities are all they have some special horns or what? You finding this? See, the entire group is how many? Maybe 3,000 guys. Maybe inside the compound, inside the campus. Huh?
8,500.
8,500. But you have ever been to Osmania University? Huh? And you compare their budget, Osmania University budget and Central University Pondicherry budget.
They have very less funding than state universities.
You divide it by the number of students per capita they spend on This is what I am saying. You know, if the whole idea is keep it together. We all want it to be together. It's not anything that we want to be run away. But we want it to be run with some self-respect and some kind of equality. Self-respect and equality. Sir, you studied in state syllabus, no, you cannot pass. I attempted. Many students, girl students from Salem district, I got them, he said, say you are a state rank. So we tried to get them admission before this NEET. Admission in Vellore. Nothing. There's nothing to do. Sir, this is nothing. Syllabus has nothing to do with that. They are state rank holders. But why do you allow a system to survive which doesn't give a sort of emancipation to people? You see, these are mega problems, and this is what are we to do? We are supposed to finish the project and finish the semester and so on. But as your students, it's very, very important. The foundations of our social polity, which compels us in all directions, right down to like a capillary forms, you know, right to the root, there is some problem. And there is no, and you say there is some problem, you are articulating one problem. How will you solve it? We cannot solve it. We cannot solve it. It's all linked. Multiplicity of factors, linked in multiplicity of things, and then finally it is all. So if you are aggressively, you are pushing your thing through, you will be easily be damned as anti-national. You put under, there are so many things. Some PMLA, POXO, I don't know the. Anyway, if you let me, I'll keep on talking on this. Please, if there is anything more, yeah.
UAPA.
So you have mentioned that there is a power relation within this.
Within?
This cultural setup, this cultural organization. So when we discuss about how to solve this issue, we know that there is a power structure. The particular people are holding power. They have this power to do whatever they want. And we know from our experience that who is violently attacking the oppressed. So when we simply articulating this, how this can be solved. So we know who have to be democratized.
You see, I am not, I understand. See, the point is not to overthrow the ruling groups, and that cannot be an academic project. No academic project. What I am suggesting is create human beings, intelligent, rational human beings. That is possible. I tell you, only in a university. Only in a university, people with self-respect. People won't take anything lying down. You know, if you have some discrimination, structural policy discrimination, certainly you will have to fight with that. Certainly you have to fight with that. The particularly in terms of caste, if you want to, each one of you say, I said there is a possibility of thinking about annihilating caste within your region. Culturally, linguistically developed area, the way caste came to be articulated in your particular area, the way you can go back and dismantle intellectually, and that is a what you call a necessary, very absolutely necessary precondition. And even that condition is not being fulfilled, how can the abolition of caste be fulfilled? You can abolish caste in Tamil Nadu. You can certainly abolish caste in Kerala, which was on its way for some time at least. Tamil Nadu was on its way for some time. Now all that was arrested and we are asked to go back. And given a kind of pan-Indian proposition, so the pan-Indian proposition is, the response is, that the recommendation is reservation and certain kind of concessions and all that kind of thing, and through which caste cannot be abolished. But if you cannot abolish caste, we cannot do nothing. I am not advocating that. So keep quiet. But as you are in academics, you have to understand the real dynamics of caste oppression and the real dynamics of removing the caste oppression. You may be or may not be able to take to the second level, third level solution of reservation and so on. But when you impose, when you insist for fighting on reservation and other things like this, you will be fully aware what it does in terms of abolition of caste in a total way. Then you are fighting for even the second level, third level strategies will be different. You see? And that is a preparation time. That's a preparation time. How the caste got developed through history and culture, That's the way it can be rolled back. And what is against rolling back caste, that has to be recognized. That's why, I mean, of course it is very difficult to understand that nationalism is obstructing in the abolition of caste. You might little bit understand that, but you will never integrate it in your writings, in your conversations, in your projects and so on. Because that is a sacred subject, you will keep it somewhere. And that is a response I gave to the economics people I gave my lecture. My first lecture was that everybody is surprised why caste is not going. Why don't you consider what I suggest as a reason why caste is not going? But nobody, because people, they are all from very metropolitan universities and teaching metropolitan students. All this, no. And one senior professor, Aloysius is very pessimistic. Sir, I am not pessimistic, I am optimistic. No, we struggle, keep on struggling. This is like what Gandhi said, no? Keep on rotating charka, liberation will come. How liberation will come and for whom liberation will come? What sort of liberation would that be? That is, I keep the doing the most meaningless activity repeatedly will make us all like cattle. So if you remain stupid, if you remain superstitious, if you live on sustenance level, as in today's economy, definitely India will flourish. But if you make any effort to go beyond that, you are in problem, and you will put others outside the problem. And this is one view. I am not propagating anything against. We want to build a proper nation. And then otherwise, why do you have a democracy, parliament, a democracy? What is the use of all that? If democracy cannot be inscribed, as Ambedkar said, social democracy. Without social democracy, how can you run political democracy? I really don't know. Ambedkar was very optimistic, thought in 10-15 years it will be. No, 10-15 years things have become worse, much worse. Come back to religion. Religion was today's point about philosophy of religion. That is more important than immediate. Of course, our immediate problem will be what you are saying is big. But then for academic students, you should constantly try the generality and then going to the essence of what creates a problem and read that and understand that much better rather than immediate action for something. I think that is okay for the time being.
So,
Yes.
so my question is, like you said, the knowledge can be emancipatory, knowledge can be oppressive. If we see the whole knowledge system that we are learning, that Indian knowledge system, or what we say, Vedas, Thassar, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, whatever we glorified as our ancient knowledge that we produce here. So if academia, mostly academicians belonging from upper strata, upper caste, they produce the idea of, what you can say, assert the importance, significance of knowledge of this Vedas, Shastras, and glorified Indian history. In one hand. In other hand, they are producing the idea of castelessness. So don't you think this is an irony?
Yeah, it is. But see, that's a problem discussed recently and coming up little bit surfacing in most of our debates is caste has nothing to do with the Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, or even Purusha Sutta doesn't speak about caste at all. Caste is a 19th century British product, as I heard myself saying. And what we are saying is Sanatana Dharma, all of us should live harmoniously. That's what Vedas and Upanishads and Shastras are saying. My problem is, yes, saying, okay, I agree that Vedas produce, but then I am interested in the present day society. How do you solve this? If Vedas says different way of life, different caste is not there, I agree that caste, it was not the intention of the Vedas. But what about today? Now, how do we solve the problem today? That is, as long as they are dominant for all, maybe all your syllabuses and your programs will also increasingly becoming around that time. But then take up the study, critical study. Nobody can prevent you from doing critical study of if the Vedas are prescribed, you do it from your perspective, emancipatory and liberative, critical emancipatory perspective. I mean, there is one thing to keep fighting that you should not introduce Vedas and all that kind of thing. But there is a more important thing is that how do we understand Vedas? There are plenty of authors, plenty of philosophers modern philosophy writings. How do we understand Buddhism? How do we understand Hinduism and all that? Plenty of things are there. You should try to. That is why, for action for students, active engagement for students can easily be found within syllabus. Within syllabus. If you have a problem, you can find 101 ways of placing that same problem little more critical, emancipatory manner. That's why the methodology is very important. You develop that methodology, then you are sure you give anything. Bhagavad Gita is prescribed. Definitely go ahead. As long as you are somebody, people are being dominant in the positions, they will prescribe that. They will do that. Some will fight not to prescribe. But then what others are all read and philosophy and speak about it. Struggle, they are going to apply critical methodology to it. Okay?
Actually, there are some students from Tamil department also. Sir knows both Tamil and Hindi, Hindi also. So those who want to raise a question in Hindi.
You see, I am an Indian.
He knows that, so you can.
So the hollowness of India, I have learned better. Better from the north rather than the south. South is more rule and law abiding.
Tamil and Hindi also.
I mean, even before I leave, I think I should not overburden people. Yeah.
Sir, caste is not invented by the lower caste people, the oppressed people. Caste was invented by the dominant caste people. So, in India, what is happening, only the oppressed caste community, they are fighting to inherit caste. And the dominant caste people, they are not coming forward. For example, in the black abolition movement, in apartheid, even the white people, they came and they wanted to annihilate slavery. But in India, the dominant caste people, they are not coming out to annihilate caste. And that's why it's really difficult to annihilate caste in India. And one more reason is also one more reason is that caste is invisible in nature. Like race is visible, so caste is invisible in nature, and it gives it more power.
More power, yeah.
So it's really difficult because any good person can also become a casteist person because you cannot see caste.
I agree perfectly.
Even here also we are sitting together. We are not physically separated, but who knows who is casteist inside this seminar hall?
I agree. Do you have any question?
Yes, sir. I have one question. Is there any religion in the world which supports homosexuality?
Support?
Homosexuality.
Sexuality.
Yes.
Homosexuality.
I have heard.
You know, sometimes you have finished now?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes we are having a very aggressive caste, anti-caste discussion. Caste as identity. Caste as Dalit, Thassar, identity. In FLU I had this discussion. I was 2 years in FLU. And then after that one registrar, obviously Dalit man. Sir, I asked you privately a question, sir. Are we the same as LGBT people? He said, why do you say that? He said, if Dalit is our identity and the LGBT people also, they say their identity and they want to forward and push their identity and all that. So should we also do the same thing? I said, this is no comparison at all. There is no comparison at all. So, I mean, that is apart from there is some misguided effort to say Dalit is an identity. No, Dalit is not an identity. You want to gain some benefits from the government. You say historically you have been deprived of some things and then you give. That is a period. And then you don't come and the students, you said I am a Dalit and I am a... Well, what am I interested in whether you are a Dalit or not? The situation is not comparable even to the American scenario where blacks are there. Blacks will remain blacks and they have to be accepted as equal. But here it's not the same. Dalits will not remain Dalits and they have to be accepted. The small point is they want to be given some concessions. That's the small thing. That can be separated from the whole thing. all of us will. You see, Dalit, what was Dalit in 1935 is not Dalit in 1947. And some people are arguing that they should be moved out of Dalit and then they are not anymore. So it is Dalit is a sort of anything they want, but you cannot, that way you cannot deal with the black. You see, black is a black. You cannot do anything about it. Now, accordingly, you see, culture, I mean, the religion. Let me see the last presentation. Afterwards, you can have it. You see, religion, why this is important for you. Religion is one thing, it deals about God. God, transcendence, what lies beyond, supposed to lie beyond, and all that. Second thing is, it deals with culture, as custom and tradition. This is the way we do. As nobody will, what are we supposed to do on this occasion? Somebody died or somebody is married. This is the way it is being done. Nobody questions it, is being done. That is culture. Third is morality. What does the religion say that we should do? And fourth thing is science. See, in olden times, it's the religious people who used to solve problems of not related to culture, but also science, scientific problems also, they will solve small little things. Now with the entry to modernity, all these are scattered. See? In certain ritualities which are considered basically as a religion today, has remained as a religion. And your morality, you should behave this way, that way, and all that is it's a reason now. Now modern times have come to reason to say, is it reasonable to treat the other man as a low or above me and all that? So reason becomes the source of this thing. And science anyway moved out of religion. Okay? So what remains is, today in India it is very important, custom and tradition is what is known as religion. Most of custom and tradition is called the culture, which I said it's a mainly power relationship. And it is all peculiar. I tell you, I spent 2 years in the Philippines. Beautiful country. If you have some time, you will have otherwise you like a northeast. It's more or less extension of the northeast. I try to move around all the people there, families, go and mingle with them, play with them and all that. So I always go to older people and then sit with them, talking to them, gossiping and all that. So I asked them, how many children do you have? I have 8 children. 3 are men, 4 are women, 1 is a bakla. Bakla is a transgender. And so what? Where is and that bakla guy happens to come there. So this is our darling. He's a darling to all the 4 sisters and all the 3 brothers also. He's a darling. He's good for in everything, music, arts and all that. And every family has 1 or 2 baklas. And there is nothing. I met a biblical professor who was a bakla. And of course they have some special ways of showing hands like that. And people from other countries, they say, hey, he's a bakla. But what is wrong? Here half the people are, and half the men are behaving like women and women are behaving like men. You cannot distinguish them. They were same. It's only in India you have to distinguish. Dress should distinguish us all. Is that everybody wears something to cover their nakedness and go out and that is more a kind of practical thing like that. So who is this? Who is that? And all that is like everybody's individual's choice. So nothing. So the religion should not interfere in all this, because these all should be decided by social sciences, science of reason, science of accommodation, and the residue culture, etc. Now, which religion would do it? No religion would do it. No traditional religion would do it. So the notion of religion itself has become very different. And what that person, that LGBT people and all, that can be deeply religious. Religious sense of inner spirituality, etc. So there is no point in that. What is Islam today? Who practices Islam? Whom do you call Islamic religious man? Is it only the guy who wears topi and then beard and then says certain follows certain thing? What is Islam? What is the base? You see, all these have become questioned. All these have become questioned, and when they are questioned and discussed, they are discussed as power relations. You see, as being a power relation related question, these things will be solved only at that level. At that level. Is it clear a little bit? There's something coming. Only when the T is out, then we come. Please.
Louder, please come forward. Please come forward. We'll finish it in this after discussion. Guys, actually, better to come and then.
Hey, one thing all you guys learn to be heard about, loud and fast. This is part of your school, college training, huh? Please. See, many of your practical. I was professor in Jamia Millia Islamia. I could not take it more than 2 years. I could not take it for more than 2 years. So one day suddenly I took a sheet of paper and then wrote my resignation letter and then gave to the head of the department. I said, please process it. And then I took my bag and while going, there was a senior professor. Very senior professor who has been in that institute. He called me. Where is the question? Who question? You are there now. You are listening now. He said, Aloysius, 1 minute. Yes, I will be there. He says, you touch and see me. He said, why? What is wrong? Now when you go out, you go and if you can see the buffalo, touch and see. Why? What is that? This is tougher than the buffaloes. And many of the students in JNU, I know, they have, I don't know, some Hindi speakers like Madhyadya. I don't know. You behave like a mud. Teacher keeps on saying whatever he wants. Yeah. But tum kya kiya? Tum Madhyadya. I kept quiet like that. It is his blood pressure is rising, not mine. There are a lot of coping mechanisms. Apart from the cynicism involved in this, one of the best ways is the student fellowship. Student fellowship is one of the best way of coping with it. And that is important, that you yourself said going through this is a big training. You see, all of us want to get a good job. Most probably all of you want to become a professor again in the some universities or other. And most of you will get 1 year, 2 year, 3 year waiting, maybe 5 years waiting, they eventually will get. And that is why becoming a successful scholar is very different from a good scholar. Successful scholar, you will learn how to behave in the things and the writing projects and the discussion process and all that kind of thing. Within the present circumstances, you try to cope up with the situation. But then with the sharing with the students little more openly, but then you have always the fear that I will be betrayed by the students and all that. In the earlier times, they never used to have that. Students were a little more blocked on their own. But then you will always find some senior guys to discuss with how to manage and all that. Apart from that, some issues can be taken up or struggle and all that. Another way of doing it is writing. But all this will ask for its own pound of flesh. You have to pay for that. Be ready for that. So in general, what you should become is toughen. Become toughen. Don't become touch me not kind of thing. Become tough. So what? Institutional life in India is very difficult, extremely difficult. It's not only for you students, for the teachers also. For the teachers, and also it goes high. It's all, everybody has somebody above them to sitting on him and all that. Hierarchical way of life will always have a problem. but you should learn how to cope. Most important thing is student fellowship support. Fellowship groups are directly or even indirectly about in the name of studying together and all that should be promoted. And what is a natural grouping? You people have northeastern people get together and southern people get together, and area people get together. That's one way of therapeutic kind of thing. But certain issues come, you will have to kind of pitch in together and so on. And that's all I can tell in public for all of you. If you have any personal problem, that you should better discuss later. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's very insightful and thought-provoking lecture. With these few notes, I welcome our Jolie, MA first year students to give vote of thanks. The informal discussion we will have outside of seminar. After this vote of thanks, you can take snacks. Okay.
We'll have it outside.
Yeah,
We'll have it outside.
Time.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we convene this enlightening seminar, let us first acknowledge the profound influence of our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dr. Thassar, whose stewardship has guided our institution along the path of academic excellence. Dr. Rajneesh Bhutani, sir, our respected registrar, we extend our gratitude for the meticulous orchestration of today's proceedings. Dr. Clement Lu, our distinguished Dean of School of Humanities and Director of Culture and Cultural Relations, who has been a profound guide to us. We are very much obliged to the resource person who shared their knowledge with us today, Professor Aloysius. We extend our deepest appreciation for his profound insights into Iyothee Thassar's philosophy of religion, and Dr. Jerome Samraj, sir, who delved into societal complexities of the caste systems and the limitations of conversion as a tool of emancipation. We would like to thank Indian Council of Philosophical Research for sponsoring this successful event, and our deepest appreciation to Department of Philosophy for conducting intriguing programs like this and also introducing the quality magazine like Sapientia newsletter Ruminator, thus making us, the students, inquire and contemplate. This would not be possible without the faculty members of the Department of Philosophy, represented by Dr. Velmurugan, head in charge, and our professors Dr. Shantakumariman and Dr. Indraman. We extend our deepest gratitude for their tireless dedication to the pursuit of wisdom and enlightenment. And thanks to Father Jonas to be a part in every occasion in our Department of Philosophy. In addition, we recognize the invaluable contributions of our esteemed research scholars who are present here. Bhima, Mauli, Priyanka, Kiran, George and Masuma, whose quest for knowledge expands the horizons of intellectual inquiry. And finally, the students, the torchbearers of future enlightenment. We express our gratitude for your boundless curiosity and relentless pursuit of truth. May the insights gleaned and the connections forged today serve as guideposts on our collective journey towards greater understanding and enlightenment. Last, I thank every professors, faculty members and students to attend and participate in this seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolie. So I also want to thank our students, those who are part of that organizing you and also support you doing all the works. Thank you, guys. Please come and have snacks outside.